looking crazy, looking a little bit wild. Hi you guys, welcome back to the Clean Beauty Code. I'm so excited for this video because we are talking about contour. We are reviewing the new Victoria Beckham Beauty Contour Like Crayon. I don't know if it's a crayon, but I'm just calling it that because I don't know what else to call it. I was really excited to see like it come out, so I literally ran the second I could and I've been trying and testing it out ever since, and I have some thoughts and I'm really excited to share them with you guys. I feel like contour is something that a lot of people struggle with, including myself, to really get the right contour, whether it's like your face, your nose, your neck, whatever it is. So we're going to be doing a full try on. I'm going to show you blends, all of that. We're going to be talking about price because we all know Victoria Beckham Beauty is expensive, and kind of compare and contrast and all that jazz. We only have a few contour products that we're going to be comparing it to today, but I'm excited to do the try on, give you my thoughts, review, and then we're going to get into the comparison to other products I have in my collection that I feel like I'll get questions on. So let's just jump into this video and get started. So if you're excited for this video and more videos like this, then please like and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this Victoria Beckham Beauty contour review. All right, I brought you in closer. Let's get into this Victoria Beckham Beauty contour review. So first, this is the packaging. It kind of just looks like one of those eyeshadows that you, like eyeshadow crayons or whatever you call them, that you kind of just put on your eyes and then just blend out. This kind of has that same vibe, which is nice. Now, the shade I got, oh, the shade isn't even on the bottom. Do you see that? Girl. Okay, so it's got to be on this. Yeah, it is Sandstone. I got the shade Sandstone. Now this is the component like on the inside, so it is just like one of those that you could probably put this on your eye too if you wanted, but for the price, I don't know if you would want to use it on your eyes as well. This is, I believe, $38. I'll put everything on the screen, and that is definitely expensive for a contour. The amount of product you get in this is also not that much. However, a little bit goes a very long way with this. So although it's expensive, you don't use a lot of the product at once because it is a very creamy product. So you get 1.1 grams with this, or 0.04 ounces. So now we're going to do a full try on. I'm going to show you kind of how I use it. So first we're going to do a little bit of this here. I'm not going to pull it too far, but I want you guys to kind of see how it kind of blends. We'll do a little bit on the forehead. Where do you guys like to contour the most? Let me know. And we'll do jaw and nose as well, just so we get the full experience. Now for my nose contour, I don't like to, looking crazy, I don't like to bring it up too far when I blend, or when I apply, because then I blend and I bring it up far, like the blend far, and especially if something's creamy. So that's why I'm not pulling it all the way up. So that is the contour on the nose, and we're going to do a little bit on the jaw. Now, I don't normally contour like my entire face always. I mean, there'll be occasions where I'll do that, but I don't always do that. So this is, we're looking crazy, looking a little bit wild. I'm going to take this brush here from Sephora. This is a Sephora Pro 56 brush, and I'm going to just use it to kind of blend this out and just kind of stipple it out with a more dense brush like this. I'm going to use two different brushes on different sides of my face, just so you can kind of see how it blends out with different brushes. Do you see that? And we're just really going to get in there and blend. Now, this isn't a product you necessarily need to blend right away, at least in my opinion. Do you see that contour that's giving me on this side? That's pretty impressive. And I thought when I first got this that this would be like too dark for me. However, the way that it blends is really, really nice. So I'm going to take this brush now, which is a little bit more of a bigger brush, and it's a little bit fluffier than this one. Although this does look fluffy, this is kind of more pinpointy, which I do really like for contour. And when I freehand a contour, so I put it on the back of my hand, or I apply it directly from like the tube or something, I will use something like this because I really like that. So we're going to blend with this brush now. All right, so both sides are blended. I would love to know which side you like more. I like both brushes for this. If I'm in a rush, I will use something a little bit bigger to blend it out. Now I'm going to go on my jaw next and blend it out with this type of brush for my jaw. For this specific product, I prefer for my jaw a little bit of a fluffier brush to kind of really bring the product down a little bit easier, like down like here and stuff like that. I just find that it blends a little bit nicer on the jaw like that. And I find sometimes when you do like jaw contour, it can look a little bit crazy if you are not really careful with how you kind of blend. And you need to take, in my opinion at least, you want to take a lot of time to blend out your jaw contour, because it really does make a big difference in how it kind of lays. And sometimes when you look from the side and you haven't blended your jaw contour enough, it can end up looking a little bit wild. Okay, so jaw is blended out. I'm really liking how that's looking. Now, I prefer, again, this type of brush, my Heavenly Luxe number 7 from, oh, here we go, from It Cosmetics. I also prefer for my jaw contour with any, like, jaw contour product. So then next, I think what we're going to do is we're actually going to do the forehead. I'll take my Heavenly Luxe number 7 for this one, and we're just going to kind of like pat it in, and we're not going to drag. I don't like to drag this product. It is not really the way that at least I like to apply it. You can, and it looks fine, but I prefer to kind of punch it into the face, aggressive. But I like to kind of do that. I find with contour in general, not dragging and kind of really just making sure that when you're blending, you're kind of pushing it in. It just ends up looking nicer in the long run, I feel like. And it also doesn't end up giving you kind of a patchiness that you can get at times with contour if you don't apply it really like seamlessly. And it does take more time to blend out when I do it like this, but I like how it looks better. So the additional couple seconds, I don't mind. Okay, so that is that done. Now we're going to take this brush. This is actually a Patrick Ta like contour brush. It's a nose contour brush, and you have this side and then this side. I'm going to use this side. I like how fluffy this is, and we're going to blend. Look how easy that does start to blend out. It's really nice that it, you know, kind of, you don't have to worry about it setting up too quickly if you, like, let's say, do your whole face and, like, place it all down at once. And what I like to do is I like to take my finger and not push inward, just take it and kind of make sure the edges are all blended in seamlessly, because sometimes it's easy to miss stuff with nose contour, at least and by like easy to miss, it's easy for me to miss stuff because I'm all over the dang place. Okay, so we are all blended. I would love to know your thoughts down below on how it blended out and what do you think of the color. I do feel like the shade is a really good shade, especially for someone with tan and up, because they do have a darker shade than the one that I got. I do hope they get a couple more shades, but I do feel like the shades are really nice, and they're versatile and they're not too like gray, because I feel like on darker skin, gray just looks crazy. But I feel like on lighter skin, the more gray tones do show up nice, but you kind of need a little bit of warmth when you have tan skin, and I feel like they did a good job with this shade. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw on makeup really quick, just a little bit of bronzer, a little bit of blush, all of that, and then we're going to move on to the rest of the review and all of that. So stay tuned. All right, makeup is on. What do you guys think? I did a really simple bronzer, blush, a little bit of highlight, and a lip, and we were done. It took like 3 seconds, but I would love to know what you think and how are you feeling like the contour is looking underneath all the makeup that I applied. I'm not wearing any skin tint or foundation on my face. I applied it directly to my just moisturized face. Love to know what you think, how it's looking. So now let's move on to the review of the Victoria Beckham Beauty Contour, or what is this called? The full name is the Victoria Beckham Beauty contour stylus. So let's kind of get into it. I got the shade Sandstone, I believe. Yes, and I'm going to do a little swatchy poo on the back of my hand for you so you can see what it looks like. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to blend it with my finger because I feel like a lot of the time people like to blend contour with their finger, not necessarily with a brush. So I want to show you kind of how it blends. So I feel like this doesn't blend away too quickly with your fingers, which is what I like. So I'm going to kind of just make sure the contour product kind of stays in place, and we're just going to blend. And you can already see that it kind of just blends really, really easily with your fingers, but not too easily. Again, because there's nothing worse than a contour product blending too quickly, because then it kind of just disappears and like melts off your face, especially summertime, but also just disappears and doesn't really do much. So this is the contour blended out, and as you can see, it leaves a little bit of a cast, it leaves a little bit of a shadow on the hand, but it's not too crazy pigmented. That is important for contour because sometimes it is a little too much, and then you end up looking really, really obvious that you like crazy contoured, and that's not really my vibe. I know a lot of people love that, and I think that's amazing because like you guys are artistes. You guys are so good at contour. I'm not one of those people. I'm one of those people that like is overwhelmed and stressed about it a little bit. So I love that this, first of all, isn't the easiest thing to blend out right away, so it doesn't move too much, and the product kind of stays where I put it, and I don't feel like it's kind of all over my face by the end when I'm blending it, or it's migrated a ton. It kind of stays in place, which I like. It doesn't blend out right away, which I also like because I know it's going to have like, it like really grips onto your skin. I wasn't wearing foundation, so I'm wearing just like a moisturizer on my face. I'm just moisturized, and it's the same on foundation and on clean, like just moisturized face, and you do get like a nice cast, but it isn't a really gray cast, which I like for darker skin. Tan to dark, I feel like sometimes it can look really ashy, but you need some warmth when you know you have warmth to your skin, and so products like this are great, but it's like just neutral enough, if that makes sense, to not be a bronzer. Basically, it does do something, but it also brings life to your face. I don't know, I really like the way that this product blends out. Now, if you use your fingers, which isn't my preferred way, I prefer to use a brush always, no matter what the contour product is, but if you use your fingers, you're just gonna have to take a couple extra seconds to blend it out, because again, it really does like grip onto the skin, and so when it blends, it just takes a couple extra seconds, but it does look beautiful when you blend it with your fingers. Now, when you get close to the hand right now, I'm gonna get closer. When you get close, there's no like harsh line or anything. Please excuse my veiny hands. Geez, I never noticed how veiny they were until literally this moment. Kind of gives you, you can see like a cast it leaves, but it isn't too much where it's like overwhelming. So if you struggle with contour, you feel overwhelmed with it, or you feel like it's too much, this is definitely a dummy proof product, especially with the fact that you can just lay it down where you feel like you need, and you don't need to take a brush and blend it out, or like, you know, it's not a bigger product where you feel like, oh no, I applied too much type of thing. This is a really it's an easy usable product, especially for around the nose, where I know a lot of people struggle with nose contour, and so it's easy to use, and the shades are beautiful. I do hope they expand the line a little bit more, just for a couple of extra shades, but I do think they got a really nice dark shade. They have a nice shade for my skin tone. They have a nice shade. I could even go with the shade down, but I did kind of want one that would work also in summer, and then they have like a nice range, which I do appreciate. Now I want to talk about the way that it wears throughout the day. I feel like it wears really, really nicely. So it's been hot, and especially, oh my gosh, last weekend it was like scorcher, and I feel like I don't feel like by the end of the day it's like gone, which I really appreciate. It definitely still feels like it's there. Of course, it's like a cream product, so nothing's gonna last a lifetime, but it does last really, really well on the cheeks, and on the nose and face and all of that. I don't feel like it wears off patchy, which is nice, because sometimes products can wear out off patchy, especially blush. I do feel like contour can wear off patchy at times. Or when you blend, I don't feel like it blends patchily, which is a big deal. I mean, you saw how I blended with my fingers, and generally when I blend something with my fingers, always patchy. I feel like, I don't know what it is. It's definitely a me thing, but sometimes I blend products out with my fingers and it ends up looking patchy. So it's nice that this blends nicely with a brush. I've used it with a sponge as well. Blends nicely that way too. My preference is a brush out of all of them, but it blends out really nicely and wears really nicely throughout the day. Now, this is a very expensive product. Like I said, it's $38. So you definitely have to be aware of the fact that, you know, the amount of product you get, it isn't the most product at all. So this, you get, what did I say, 0.04 ounces. You use very little of it. So I have had this since it came out. I've been trying and testing it out, and I haven't had to push this up yet, because every time I apply it, so little applies. And you don't want to over apply it. You can always add more. It does layer nicely, but so little kind of is needed that you don't really feel like you're overusing the product or anything. But this is definitely a pricey item. But if you struggle with contour, you struggle with finding a good undertoner shade, you're looking for something a little bit more like this, this is a very nice product, and I enjoy it a lot. And I have found that I love putting this on in the morning when I do my makeup. I don't know, it puts me in a good mood, and I really like the shade and undertone. I would love to know what you guys think. Again, I could have gone the shade down, I think, and it still would have worked for me, but I want something that goes into summer, and I do feel like it looks really nice on my complexion, this shade, and it's a nice balance of warmth, but still giving that contour aspect to the face. And I feel like the other shades, I'm going to put them on the screen so you can see, they have done a really good job at balancing the cool tone with the warm, like with warmth, like giving a good neutral, but also like giving enough cool that it does give that contour without it being like so gray that it almost feels like at times it can drag your complexion down, especially in summer when you're kind of getting more warmth on your face. So I really, really do enjoy this. It is very expensive. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I do find it expensive, but I do think I'm like really enjoy wearing this. And this is like the Westman Atelier. I don't think it's going to last me that long, but with the Westman Atelier, brow pens, like the pencil, it's so expensive. It's $38. It's lasted me an entire years. I literally have looked back on my order to keep making sure. It's been 12 months or even maybe a little bit, 12 and a half months or whatever since I got it. It might even have been more than that. And I'm like still have enough to get me through maybe the next month, and then I'll need to open my other one that I have because I keep that on reserve because I love that thing. And I do feel like this kind of gives me that same energy of you use so little of this, that even though the Westman Atelier brow pencil, I have to be fair, has a lot of product in it and lasts really, really long. I'll keep you guys posted on how long this lasts me, but with the fact that I've been using it since it came out and I haven't had to push it back out, I do feel like this is going to last me a while, which is nice. Now I want to compare the Victoria Beckham Beauty contour to the other contours in my collection. So I have this one from Milk Makeup. I know everyone's going to ask about this one, so this one's definitely going to be mentioned because it is a newer launch. I'm going to apply a little bit on the back of my hand. I feel like the Milk Makeup contour blends out easier, or not easier, quicker than the Victoria Beckham Beauty one because it has more slip to it. And so the blend is a lot easier because it's a little bit creamier. But I do feel like, although this is really red, I do feel like the other shades, like not the tan shade that I would be, or not that I would be, this shade, Hammer, girl, get it together. I feel like the other shades, they did really, really good job with the undertones. I just feel like here it went a little bit too warm, especially for my complexion, but hopefully in summer it works a little bit better for me, especially when I'm more tan and have a little bit more warmth to my face. But the wear on the Milk Makeup one, I would say, is similar to the Victoria Beckham Beauty one. They last super, super long. There is significantly, as you can see, like more pigmentation and intensity to this product than the Victoria Beckham Beauty one. I like both of them. I like the undertone of the Victoria Beckham Beauty one more, and I like to pinpoint more. So that's why I like the Victoria Beckham Beauty more too. But if I am using this one, I take this brush here, which is again the Sephora 56, dip in and apply it. So it's a little bit more pinpointed because I don't want it to end up looking too crazy on my face. Because again, it's supposed to be a contour, not a bronzer necessarily. I want it to give definition, and if it gives a little bit of warmth, good. But I also like to go on with a bronzer afterwards as well to kind of give a little bit of extra warmth to my complexion. So then next I want to talk about this one, another new one that launched this year. This is from Tower 28. I actually think the Tower 28 and Milk Makeup one launched within like a week of each other. The Tower 28 one is significantly more neutral, and I'm going to do a little swatchy poo for you on the back of my hand so you can see. You can definitely see like the difference in neutral here. I'll do a swatch of the Victoria Beckham Beauty one on the side too, and you can just see the difference in neutral. Like the Milk Makeup one looks red compared to the other two. The Victoria Beckham Beauty has a little bit more warmth than the Tower 28. Actually, I should put it next to that one too because it's hard to tell. Has a little bit more warmth than the Tower 28 one, as you can see. But like you can see it's a little bit more warm, but like not to nowhere to the extent that the Milk Makeup one is. So the Tower 28 one, if you've ever used their blush, it's a very similar consistency, very creamy. It blends out really, really quickly. I would say that the longevity is a little bit less than the Milk Makeup one and the Victoria Beckham Beauty one, but not in a bad way. I also like to apply this with a brush directly to my face from the back of my hand with a brush. I don't like to like stamp it on my face. I mean, I've done that and it's not bad, but I like to be able to control the product a little bit more. And since it's in this type of a pot, it's harder to control. Like you can't just stripe it on your face. You have to kind of dip in. And then I feel like sometimes when I do use my fingers, it can look a little bit more crazy than if I use a product or a brush. Like product, I mean the component. So I like to apply it with a brush and blend it out that way. I really enjoy the way that this one wears. Again, I do feel like the Milk Makeup and Victoria Beckham Beauty one lasts a little bit longer than the Tower 28 one, but not anything significant. The Tower 28 one also is a little bit creamier. And I just feel like their shade options for my complexion are better than the Milk Makeup one, but that's just because the one shade. I do feel like both Milk Makeup and Tower 28 have a nice shade range. I do feel like, not feel like, girl. The Milk Makeup one has a really, really good one if you have deep, rich skin. They did an incredible job. I mean, their darkest shade is actually wild. It is so beautiful. Tower 28 does have a good one, but it's nowhere near as dark as the Milk one. So run, don't walk if you have been looking for a really good, rich, deep colored contour, because Milk Makeup's got your back. But I love all of these. They blend out really beautifully and sit on the skin really nicely. I will say the Victoria Beckham Beauty one doesn't have as much of a sheen to it as the Tower 28 and the Milk Makeup one. I don't know if you can even tell. You can tell. The Victoria Beckham Beauty one has more of a satin finish, so I do really like that because I don't want to be too dewy in my contour. I just kind of want it to look like more like skin. So it kind of has a natural satin finish to it, which is really, really nice. But I love, the Tower 28 one, because it's a better match for my complexion, I use all the time. But right now I'm kind of really grabbing the Victoria Beckham one a little bit more because I am liking the more satin finish because I've been sweating. It's real warm here right now. And so I'm loving the fact that I have something that isn't going to be too dewy on my cheeks. So then next we have these ones from Westman Atelier. I have two shades. I have the shade Truffle in the large, and then I have a mini one of the shade, what is it? Cake? No. Biscuit. Girl, get it together. And Biscuit is definitely more of a gray tone. So I'm going to do a little swatch on the back of my hand, and it is a lot lighter than the other contours, as you can see here. I'm letting it focus on the wrong things, girl. So you can see it's a lot lighter. I like to mix the two shades together at times. Sometimes I'll just go on with this one depending on what I'm looking for that day. And then again, this is the darker shade. This is the shade Truffle. And this one is also a little bit lighter than the shades, but it has warmth to it. It's a little bit warmer than the Tower 28, but not like a ton warmer. It does look really natural and nice on my complexion, and come summer, this is definitely going to be the one I'm grabbing the most. I'm doing a little mixy poo of the two, or sometimes I'll just go with this one if I'm just wanting to do contour like right in the back. For a little bit more gray, but I really enjoy these. Now, I would say that the Victoria Beckham Beauty, in terms of finish, and the Westman Atelier are the most similar in finish. The Westman Atelier one does blend out a little bit easier, or quicker, I should say, not easier, because it does have a touch more slip to it. But when you look at the finish, you don't really see, when you look at the Westman Atelier, you don't really see that much of a sheen. It has more of a satin natural finish, which I really like for every day, especially if it's going to be for like an event. I wouldn't go with the Milk or the Tower 28 one for an event like a wedding or something like that, because it's going to end up doing up a ton, and then by the end of the day you end up, or the end of the event, your contour and all of that's going to kind of be gone or more faded. If you have a long day, like a 12-hour day, 6-hour day, 8-hour day, whatever it is where you're going to be dancing and doing all that stuff. So I would go with the Victoria Beckham Beauty and Westman Atelier if I have an event. But I like all of these contours. I would say that the Westman Atelier and the Victoria Beckham Beauty last the same kind of way throughout the day. I would say the Victoria Beckham Beauty one lasts just a touch longer, just a little bit. Both are great. Both wear really nicely. I really enjoy the way that they all look on my face. They're all different, right? You have ones in a container like this. This one is $48, I believe, and this one is $25, the small. I don't know how many shades they have in the mini, but I hope they come out with all the shades in the mini, because it's whack attack that, at least when I got this one, which was a while ago, they only had the one shade. Like, girl. But yeah, $48, very expensive, but you get a ton more product in $48 than you do with the Victoria Beckham Beauty. And if you look at the mini at $25, you get 0.09 ounces in this one versus this one. And this one is less expensive, but I do think they only have one shade in this, which is, again, illegal and like shouldn't be allowed. But yeah, I really enjoy all of these contours. I would say my most grabbed by far right now are the Westman Atelier and the Victoria Beckham Beauty one, just because I prefer the finish for right now as it's getting warmer and I am sweating a ton, especially since I'm like going outside more and doing stuff. I like a contour that kind of doesn't have any sheen to it. And this one specifically, the Westman Atelier one has a lot of product, but also the longevity is really there. And I've tested this one outside. I tested it when I was doing a whole like day hanging out with my friends, going out dancing, whatever. And I did notice that this one lasted really long as well. I find that these ones fade a little bit quicker. This one fades the quickest. Tower 28 products don't fade fast, so please don't take that as me saying that this fades fast. It just fades a little bit quicker because it is more of a dewy product. And then I would say that this one fades a little bit quicker than these ones, but this one does last longer on my cheeks at least than the Tower 28 one. But all of these products are nice and long lasting, and by the end of the day the product is still on, so there's nothing negative about the ones that are fading quicker. It's just something to note. Again, the Victoria Beckham Beauty one is $38. You don't get that much product. I do think it's going to take me a little bit of time to get through this. I will keep you updated. Again, this is 0.04 ounces. So $38, 0.04 ounces. I know it's feels insane. The shades are really, really great. I like the way it wears. I like the way it blends. and I do find this to be a dummy-proof product. So if you struggle with contour, this might be worth getting. I do really enjoy it, but there's a ton of other contours out there that are affordable. And yeah, that's it for this video. That is it for my Victoria Beckham Beauty contour review. I would love to know your thoughts down below. Do you think you're going to get it? Is it too expensive? Which, you know what? Don't even answer that. It is too expensive. But do you think you're going to get it? Let me know down below. What is another kind of contour stick type product, pencil, pen, whatever, that I should be trying? Let me know down below as well. And yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.